the best of the week on Relevant Radio.
I'm so grateful that we have Sister Faustina Maria Pia with us to talk us through finding trust and joy during times of difficulty because, we all face them. We all face times of extreme suffering in our lives that could be the result of so many different things that happen to us, some of our own choosing and some of the just what life has in store for us and what the Lord has allowed in our life. But trust and joy is what we're invited to. And Sister, I think that's one of the things I want to get into, which is when we're facing a time of trial, of suffering, is there anything practical that we can do in that time to help increase our trust in the Lord?
Yes, I think especially there's a few ways, but especially as we're in this season of Lent, approaching Holy Week very shortly.
Yeah.
I think one of the greatest graces that we've been given through the church, obviously, is the sacraments, the sacrament of mercy, this sacrament of confession. In the Diaries, St. Faustina writes that Jesus told her, the greatest miracles take place and are incessantly repeated. He said, and that this encouragement to really approach the sacrament with trust, not worrying about what kind of priest it is or excusing myself from this or that, but just with all simplicity to say, I'm going back to my Father who loves me and he's waiting for me there. He wants to just make it as easy as possible for me just to come in and speak these words. And he makes it stunningly simple. We walk in with this burden that we're carrying and these struggles that we're facing. We're asking for grace, and he meets us in that place and promises to be yoked with us, and that burden will be different, and there will be a light that illumines it. And I think, too, if there is a burden that I'm suffering and that I'm carrying that is really heavy, maybe it could be described in other words like a real, like rancor almost, like a bitterness, but a real penetrating heaviness, I really want to bring that to the Lord in a special way, because when Jesus speaks about carrying the burdens in our lives, he says in Matthew, "Come to me all who labor and are heavy burdened." He's asking for those who are heavy burdened to come to him. He said, "I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me. I'm gentle and lowly in heart." And he says, "My yoke is easy and my burden is light." And I've experienced a lifting of the heavy burdens actually profoundly in confession. When I go to confession with trust, because there's often a little bit more of myself that I'm carrying than God really wants me to. Maybe I've taken some self-reliance into this picture of this suffering, and I'm trying to maybe grasp for control, which is very human, or not inviting or receiving help, or refusal of forgiveness, these things that are so natural on a natural level when we're experiencing pain. But when we go to the sacrament, we ask the Holy Spirit to really illumine where we can receive this flood of grace and this lifting of that heaviness. The burdens might still be there, but there's going to be a very different feel, and we can have a lightness in his presence, and carrying that with him, he can take off things that we weren't intended to carry that maybe we are carrying. So real encouragement for everyone, especially as we approach Holy Week, to really come to that sacrament, maybe with fresh eyes, to say, "Jesus, please unload, whatever's on my back that is not of you, and help me to really experience your tenderness of a Father who wants me to be close to him and be near him and be freed this Easter season."
Yeah. I appreciate that, Sister. One of the things, too, when you're talking about bringing it to the Lord in prayer, and even something that we might even, when we're not in times of great suffering or great pain, how we might increase our trust. Well, for instance, so I constantly need to be increasing in humility. That's one thing that the Lord has revealed to me time and again. So I turn to the litany of humility prayer. So we need something like a litany of trust. Have you ever heard of anything like that, Sister Faustina?
Yes, truly I have. Yes, no, there is a litany of trust out there, and God gave it to me because I needed it, and I definitely suffered in my life in a way that I didn't realize that I had really broken that trust and hadn't been open in that channel of communication with the Lord, and resented and held things there that were blocking my growth and in that relationship. And so as I pleaded for clarity in a certain situation of suffering, God gave me clarity on something so much bigger, which is this relationship with God that I needed. And he asked me to write this prayer, which has really helped me tremendously. And you can find it searching it on our website, sistersoflife.org, or just Googling it. But the Litany of Trust is a short prayer that really rectifies where we could kind of be believing lies at the end of every day that, either God's not good or I'm not good. And those lies really can seep in and distort our vision of things and make us drift away from our true home, which is this place of unconditional love of God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very good. Well, and Nick has told me that he'll put a link to the Litany of Trust by Sister Faustina in the show notes as well. So check that out at relevantradio.com/innerlife. This entire episode of The Inner Life is on the Relevant Radio app. The Relevant Radio app is completely free and updated daily with fresh articles, podcasts, and prayers. Don't delay. Download the app today. And thanks for listening.